The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon and good evening depending on your time zone. I'm Ankit from Arcserve Center of Excellence and would like to thank you all for joining this exclusive APAC region session for cloud services. Joining us today, the highly experienced speakers for the sessions are Nathan and Carl Thompson. Nathan is a senior product manager with Arcserve and Carl is a pre-sales director for Arcserve APAC. For any questions, I would request you all to drop the questions in the chat box and same will be taken up by the speakers in the end. Looking forward to have a great session. Thank you again for joining in. Over to you, Nathan.
Thanks a lot, Ankit. Thanks a lot, everyone, for taking the time out and joining us for this session. And here today, we are going to talk about the general challenges the market faces and how Arcserve, with its stable of products, support and help partners and customers, and the specific product, cloud services. And let me start with establishing who we are. That is, Arcserve was started in 1983, and particularly with a focus on backup disaster recovery. And as the markets evolved with different challenges, our products and services kept evolving. And you can see at the bottom the list of our current products and services. And we have about 250,000 plus customers in over 150 countries and 19,000 plus partners who are focused on providing data resilience services to customers, and 10,000 MSPs, and the stable of MSPs is growing, and we have about million plus servers and VMs under the different products which we provide and the services we provide, and hundreds of petabytes of data under management with our on-premises as well as cloud solutions product. So what are the typical challenges as we have seen facing the customers today? So data has been growing. So over the period of years, it has now become humongous. At one point in time when I started my career, 1 GB of data is a server-side solution. And right now, it's even on our phones, it is not enough. So that is the type of data growth we are seeing, and trying to keep them, secure, backing them up, restoring them. The challenge is really humongous, and we understand that that our customers and partners face these challenges, and our products and services are geared to address those challenges. Supporting a business 24/7. As partners, you are in a very untenable position where you are constantly on your feet trying to protect not only protect customers' data, providing different types of services to the customers. So basically, whatever the applications they have, you have to be able to manage those applications as well as secure those applications and back up and recover those applications and keep them alive 24/7. So we understand your challenges, and we are constantly on the watch to see how best we can help you, right? Ever increasing cost of downtime. This is something which has been worrisome as the businesses become sophisticated, as the time of our customers and the end users become very critical. The availability of applications become very, very critical. So that the cost of downtime per year has been going up. If you have one single incident of downtime, the cost of that in a normal average business has been going up. So this is something we have been mindful of, and we've been trying to constantly address that. Vendor consolidation for better TCO, and again, you have multiple types of applications, and it's spread all over. You have on-premises applications, you have applications on the cloud, you have APIs with which you are trying to integrate your applications and trying to extract certain services. So you have a spectrum of offerings out there and trying to work with all of them. And also, if you are going to have more and more customers as you become successful, trying to support it with more team members in your organization, that's going to be very, very challenging if you have a very big spread of vendors and products in your portfolio. Compliance requirements, again, this is becoming an increasing demand from our customers and partners, that there is a minimum level of compliance. And again, as each and every country in every geography, they see the digital growth of their citizens, and they are rolling out new compliance requirements. Each and every year, you see that each and every country has a specific data residency requirement and compliance requirement of service providers. So this is something which every customer is demanding. So we are also on the watch out for that. Management complexity. So even if you adopt a lot of services which are cloud-based, as if you have more products and services in your portfolio, trying to be current, and particularly considering that some of these services keep changing with time, trying to be current and also keep your teams ready and prepared is a very, very complex and crushing job. So with all these different challenges, what happens is typically that your preparedness when a disaster strikes sort of takes a backseat, because you're constantly trying to provide the current today's issues. You are trying to address today's issues with trying to be current, trying to get the next visible thing addressed, right? And preparedness sort of takes a backseat if it is not forced. So that is also some of the things which we are aware of, and we are trying to see how best we can help with our products and services, which sort of makes it easier for you to take certain steps which will make your customers DR prepared and be ready for disaster recoveries. So one of the typical challenges we have seen is, on the top of everyone's mind right now is ransomware attacks. We'll see how best we support that as well, how we sort of help you to keep your data and your customers' data safe from ransomware attacks. So ransomware resilience is, there is not a single solution that can help. It is not as, you just buy one software and install that, and that will take care of everything. That is not how you can be secure against ransomware. So it has to be a multimodal approach. If you see on that slide, cybersecurity is just one subcomponent of that, and you need to have processes and orchestrated recovery as additional components to be resilient against a ransomware attack. So multi-factor authentication, repeated DR exercises, and employee cybersecurity training. So these are some of the critical factors which you would need. So you might hire people who are trained. You might hire people who are certified as a CISA or a CSIM and CISSP. So even with those certifications, without repeated testing and running through your run books repeatedly, it's going to be a challenge to address a specific scenario. So every customer in your portfolio is different. Every partner or our MSP is different. So their requirements are going to be different. So when a specific challenge happens, like a disaster or a ransomware attack with one of your customers, the challenge is going to be your team has to be prepared, and they should know what to do immediately. Otherwise, the time taken to bring back your customer's environment and make their employees productive is going to be a challenge, right? So you would need a lot of these products and services to be able to support you and your team in getting your customers up and running fast. So secure backup and disaster recovery, a 3-2-1-1 backup strategy, and immutable storage. And also you will need a complete cybersecurity solution, identity access management, and a privileged access management. So we incorporate some of these best practices in our products and services. And that is also one of the reasons why most of our partners are comfortable using our solutions and products as part of their resilience initiatives with their customers. So talking about the 3-2-1-1. So it is a combination of products and services. You will need a combination of products and services taken in a simple format. Most of the operating systems and applications provide their own level of backups. So with Windows or Linux or Oracle, you can do your backups and you can keep the data safe and secure. The question is it going to be repetitive? Like, how can I write scripts? Yes, of course, right? And then can I configure my own NAS and then dump data into it? Yes, of course. So all these things, when you want to do it at scale, it's going to take a lot of effort, right? So that is where our product and our solutions come in. So we try to take those repetitive, complex, configurations and idiosyncrasies of your environment, and we try to simplify it with with a very intuitive user elements, user interface elements, and user experience. And we provide you a set of products and services which sort of fits into each other and provides you with a better solution. So one primary copy plus 2 backup copies. That is the first step where we talk about the 3-2-1-1. So you have a production workload of file servers, database servers, and application servers. So the primary copy is already being accessed by the applications and the databases. So you need 2 more copies in any one of these formats, which is shown here: backup to tape, an immutable storage, a recovery point which is replicated, and or a backup appliance. So we have our presence everywhere in all of these workloads and formats. And then you can replicate that over a LAN to one of your own sites if you choose to do so, or you can use a hybrid cloud strategy where you use a public cloud as your extension for your on-premises software, and then you can replicate your data to those. Again, the question is, if you use your own expertise to replicate data, set up the public cloud, and then replicate data to it, it's going to take a lot of effort. And that is where we offer our services and say, okay, use one of our public cloud services where the integration between our product and the services are going to be seamless. And then the one immutable copy, which is air gapped. Again, you can use tapes or walls or immutable storage in the cloud, or use in your on-premises itself. You can keep an immutable copy, which is using one of our appliance workload formats. So these are the products in our portfolio: Arcserve, ShadowSafe, Shadow Protect, and Solo, that in turn replicates to cloud services. The cloud services provide an orchestrated one-click failover, file folder, and you can also virtualize your entire infrastructure to our cloud. And you can also seed and recover order express recovery using the BMR drives, or you can do web downloads. So these are the products and services which will help you to extend the business continuity of your customers. So what are the key features of the cloud services? total business continuity with orchestrated failover to the cloud. That is to make sure that you have almost close to 100% business continuity, and robust cloud security that you have many of your, I mean, you have a big team, and you'll have team members with privileges at different levels. So you'll have backup administrators, you have recovery administrators, you have application administrators who will configure security for your applications and backups. And so you will have different types of roles in your organization that need to have different types of privileges and capabilities. So we provide you that facility where you'll be able to do that with our cloud portal. Highly customizable and cost-effective DR cloud for any environment. It's not just we can support only a simple or only a complex environment. We can support workloads like laptops and desktops, and at the same time, with the same cloud, we'll be able to support as complex workloads like application servers, like SharePoint or Exchange or Oracle, whatever you need. Both types of workloads are supported in our cloud. You will be able to power them up, configure the level of complexity needed for your applications, and work with us. Simple and powerful centralized management. So all you need to do all of these is a web browser. I'm talking about management, of course, to replicate and do additional, use our supported products. You have to have on-premise workloads, but for managing the cloud infrastructure, about the backups, replicated images, and to do recoveries from our cloud and to virtualize, all you need is a simple browser and the appropriate level of authentication so that you'll be able to interact with our cloud and do that. So that level of simplicity reduces costs and the manpower required. So you need not have one single application administrator, backup administrator, recovery administrator sitting 24/7. You can have sort of, levels of escalation set up in your workflow so that a person constantly keeps monitoring your backups and services. So whenever there is a issue with a service, it leads to an escalation, internal escalation in your teams, and then an appropriate resources engaged for recovery. So that reduces some level of trained manpower required to support your operations. So the key features of the portal are: one, a self-service cloud portal, so you can access data and systems anywhere. Of course, we have levels of security, as we spoke earlier. We have multi-factor authentication and role-based access controls that would help set up appropriate workflows for whatever is suitable for your team, and dashboard for status. So you can see in a single window how your different customer environments are backing up, and if you power up specific customer windows, what is running, what is in flight in terms of seeding or express recovery or bare metal recovery drives which are needed. So you will be able to see everything from the self-service cloud portal. You will be able to download recovery points which you have replicated to our cloud, and also if you want a granular level of restores done, you can do that with your file folder recovery. And you can, of course, virtualize environments in our DR cloud. So all that is happening in a single portal, and that is the level of training which is needed, and also the level of access controls and the administrative overheads needed to run your operations is reduced with this level of service. Advanced networking support, this is again a critical requirement for most of the customers. So when you run into a disaster recovery scenario, you need to have a connectivity which is secure and at the same time flexible. So we provide multiple levels of networking support where you can set up your DR site and connect them together with a site-to-site VPN. Or if your end users are working from distributed or working from home or distributed sites, they can also use client VPN to reach our disaster recovery cloud and work with the workloads which you have powered up. Port blocking, typical challenge which DRaaS clouds have with other service providers is that the firewalls and other edge devices are very, very simple. So because of that, some of the threats you have faced in your environment they are not protected against in the cloud. So in our cloud environment, we provide you a similar experience, and we understand that your customers have specific security requirements and the scenarios they've worked through. So port blocking and port forwarding, port mapping, some of these features will not be available easily in other clouds. It is available with us. The DHCP reserving specific subset of your own network, and having a static IP address and IP reservations. So you will be able to do all of that and prepare yourself for a scenario so that you will be able to come up fast and not trying to do it on the fly when you really run into a disaster scenario. Account alerts. So when you have multiple machines uploading, trying to manage that is a challenge. So you can set up alerts for you have 100 machines uploading into the cloud, and if suddenly some machines become silent for whatever reason, right? You can set up thresholds and you can get alerted based on that. Data growth, again, this is a very big concern. Suddenly you'll see that file servers, somebody has uploaded huge set of videos or photos, and you run into an issue where suddenly the uploads into the cloud is high, right? So you can set up alerts to verify what's going on, and you'll be able to manage that as well. Additions and deletions of machines, again, this is a critical concern. You want to be able to be on top of some of these events which are happening in your cloud, and virtual machines running above a certain threshold. So you test a DR and then somebody forgets to shut it down. So you can say, okay, let me be alerted so that it is being monitored, and you can shut it down. And to make sure that you and your team repeatedly test and be ready for the disaster recovery scenarios that your clients face, your customers face, we provide you with 720 hours of virtualization as part of the subscription. And also, one of the typical challenges you might have faced with other cloud vendors and providers is that egress. So when you replicate you will not see that cost mentioned anywhere, but when you try to download data, that is when the egress costs starts piling in. So there is no additional egress as part of our subscription. Like you pay for the subscription, it is included as part of that. So what are the different service levels we have? So we have the cloud basic, where you have laptops and desktops which you want to replicate and keep a safe copy of. And it's not where you would need a lot of immediate recovery requirements. It is needed. You want to keep it there, and if something happens, you want to bring back everything together. So that is the type of subscription level we have. Cloud Plus, you have critical desktops and laptops where you need granular recovery, or a file server which needs a granular recovery, or a SharePoint server, not a SharePoint, a file server probably would be a right bet. So you don't want to really I mean, you might have a specific scenario where the deletion has happened and you want to bring back just a couple of files or folders. So that is the type of support. If you need, then you subscribe to Cloud Plus and Premium, where you can do everything with what is provided in Cloud Basic and Cloud Plus. And it also provides you with instant virtualization of your systems and failover into the cloud. So with Cloud Basic, these are the details of those different services. With Cloud Basic, you get a secure offsite storage of about 500 GB per machine. And you can require, you can request a restore via, you can order a drive whenever you want that data available to you on premises. You can also do a web download of the whole recovery point. So that is available with Cloud Basic. And as I said earlier, if you want an immediate granular level file folder recovery at any given time for specific machines, then you can use Cloud Plus. With Cloud Premium, and Cloud Plus, you get 1 TB of storage per machine, and you also get to, with Cloud Premium, you get to do a network failover, and you get to sort of virtualize the specific systems which are there under that subscription. So all these things are it's available in a single window where you say, okay, I am replicating 100 machines into the Arcserve cloud, 10 of them Cloud Basic, 20 of them Cloud Plus, the rest Cloud Premium. So you'll be able to choose the levels of subscription you want. You don't have to go to different configurations or vendors, and also you can switch between subscription levels as you need. As your requirements change, you can switch from Cloud Basic to Cloud Plus at some point in time. You don't have to do anything more than changing the subscription level. And the default retention is available, so easy to use configuration across multiple subscription levels. So you have some default settings which you can use, 3 daily recovery points, 2 weekly recovery points, in a combination of about 20 recovery points at no additional cost. You can, if you want more recovery points, and you can always choose at some marginal additional cost. And one thing I forgot to tell in the previous slide is that all these things are pooled. So you have 100 machines, you are entitled to a storage of 100 TB, and only when the threshold crosses, like data storage crosses above that 100 TB mark, you will be charged overages. So you have Cloud Basic, 20 machines, it's about 20 TB is the entitlement at that subscription level. Cloud Premium is 80 TB. So between the pooling is available within that subscription level, so that it's very you can always pick and choose what you really want to do, and how depending on your requirements. Right? So what do you do after you replicate? So these are the options available to you to download complete recovery points, order a bare metal restore drive when you think it is going to take longer and you want to reduce the time spent on downloading and also the bandwidth used. You can order a bare metal restore drive, and you can also do a full DR failover. With the full DR failover, one specific item I want to highlight, one of the key features is that the one-click failover, you can configure a set of restore sequences or failover sequences. So you have, let's say, 5 machines replicating to our cloud, and they are in the Cloud Premium subscription level. Then you can configure the restore sequence, the power-up sequence, in such a way that you don't run into error conditions. Let's say, for example, you are backing up a SharePoint server. You do not bring up the SharePoint server ahead of the file server, the Active Directory, LDAP server, and the DNS server. So you have a specific sequence and a delay. You know that your LDAP server is going to take about 2 minutes to power up, and your DNS server is going to take a minute to power up. Like that, you have a specific set of sequence of sequence needed and delays needed so that your servers come up without an error, right? So that can be pre-configured and set so that when you have an issue, you just click a button and the one-click failover happens and you're ready with your failover. So to talk about the cloud services locations, these are the data center locations we have. 2 in the United States, 1 in Canada, 2 in Europe, 1 in Ireland and Germany, and 1 in Australia. These are the locations we have. And we are using the Google Cloud Platform as the underlying public cloud service provider. So we depend on the storage and compute and networking. These are the 3 critical elements of our cloud services platform. And the Google Cloud has a highly distributed storage system and a very highly robust and redundant storage system with encryption at rest and in transit. These are, the key default features of the service. The compute, again, it's highly robust and redundant. And when you need, when you subscribe to our cloud premium service, when you need, let's say your machine, you're backing up a 16 GB RAM and a 4 CPU system on premises, and if you need additional resources to run that specific workload in the cloud, we provide that at no additional charge. And for networking, to support all the complex and networking requirements we spoke about earlier, we use the pfSense firewall. And if there is a need, we can always, on a case-to-case basis, we can provide, we can work with your networking team and we will see how best we can provide a networking solution that provides you the access to the backend. And we use that one-click failover is also called as the patent virtual machine policy. So it's a patented solution of Arcserve. So the Google Cloud Storage, where that is where finally the data storage happens. So it has a 11.9's level of durability, and it uses what we call as the erasure coding, where you have the code which runs the solution and the data and the metadata. It is spread across multiple availability zones. So when you store data into this Google Cloud Storage, the data is considered saved only when the metadata and the data is saved across multiple availability zones. And each of these availability zones have multiple servers and with the different power sources. So this is to highlight that the level of the cloud services, what we depend on, what our services depend on. With that, I would like to request Carl Thompson from our team to go ahead and continue with the coming slides.
Awesome, thanks Nathan. Can you hear me okay there?
Yes.
Great, thanks for that. Hey, look, really good insights and overview of the solution. And I really like that last slide, the Google Cloud storage stats there, the 11.9s across the multiple availability zones. And it really highlights some of the robust and resiliency in this platform. What I'm hearing from partners is that they can't afford not to have this kind of capability to offer their customers. And when we look at the business continuity planning, obviously, this is really specifically referring to the cloud premium service where we provide the compute and the networking. So much more than just beyond the storage, the offsite storage, which we've seen a lot of customers across APAC region successfully host in their data centers or offices, but actually extending that into a fully fledged solution that can recover their customers. And what I'm going to show you is how easy it is to recover a business's infrastructure and all the networking components that come together that can be pre-configured for a much less stressful, but also very rapid failover. I've done a lot of trainings. I've met many of the partners on this webinar today as well across the APAC region, and look forward to taking you through this. So what we have, in terms of consideration, a lot of this comes down to a discussion with your partner, but it's looking at, where are the users going to go in a site disaster? What are the services or applications that they need? Considering things like a site-to-site IPsec VPN client, or port forwarding capabilities, but ultimately the ability to pre-configure all this and have a plan. So, you might be looking at, what if there's a fire or flood, or what if there's a ransomware event? There's a lot of different types of scenarios that could happen, and having a bit of a pre-thought out plan about what you want to do really goes a long way into deciding, what do we send into the cloud, what really needs to be in the premium service level, but then actually looking at how does that play out in the event of a disaster. So when we look at our solution, typically it's a copy of the backups that are replicated from on-prem to our cloud. In some cases, particularly with our ShadowSafe and Solo technology, we do have some machines that back up directly to our cloud. So super flexible. But in a typical scenario where perhaps there's some sort of localized event, all of our solutions have the ability to rapidly recover on-prem. And typically that's your first point of call. The users are still in the office. You've still got your networking and capability that's there. That's where you want the recovery. But should you have a scenario where perhaps you don't have equipment to recover on site, or there's some sort of, maybe it's a SAN failure and your production hypervisor is not available and you don't have the standby environment, we have the ability to do an IPsec. Sorry, I jumped ahead there. An IPsec VPN to our cloud. You virtualize in our cloud. The IPsec kicks off and offer business continuity, from our cloud straight back to the customer network. Again, should it be more catastrophic, we need to relocate staff, do you want to go to a temporary office? Can we put in a standby firewall there, do IPsec? Likewise with remote branch sites, and actually offer, business continuity, keep things running and fail over in the cloud. Another scenario might be users that, you've got remote users today, they want to work from home. Maybe we don't have a temporary or standby or remote office. They can come in, you can pre-configure, open VPN clients to connect into the cloud. So a really great, easy way to get people up. Another way to look at it is, what other applications can we run directly in the cloud, and consider things like port forwarding. We can pre-configure things like email, web services. Some of our partners are today using remote desktop services on-prem, and that's their remote access. And so flowing that through into the cloud DRaaS is a fantastic option. And when we look at how that plays out, a port forward for an RDS gateway, all of a sudden your remote users don't need a VPN pre-configured. They don't need to set it up. They just continue using their current remote desktop services. And it might be that in our cloud, we can pre-configure a public IP. You update the customer's DNS, and ultimately the users have very minimal disruption. They don't even necessarily know that their servers are now running out of a cloud DR platform rather than back on-prem. So super flexible. Again, this can be all pre-configured based on different scenarios that you need for full business continuity. And so when we look at our solutions across ShadowSafe, Solo, and Shadow Protect that leverage our cloud, all of these have fantastic and affordable bundled options that include the backup license plus a copy in our cloud, at the various service level options that are available. And so from ShadowSafe, on-prem, you've got the virtual appliance service node that's running somewhere. You might have some storage such as NAS storage that's controlled by one system. And with our platform, this can just replicate directly on the Google Highway straight into a Google bucket. So the performance is fantastic. It's just over HTTPS traffic, so it's encrypted in transit, and then obviously encrypted at rest in our cloud. And you've got the capability with this solution. Should the NAS fail, we can recover from the cloud directly back into a production hypervisor, and or we can recover in the cloud. So super flexible. When we look at the Solo, takes it a step further with the plug-and-play appliance. Again, controlled by one system, replication to cloud is directly into the Google bucket, which is a fantastic experience, offering great performance and options around the recovery there. And really, the key part of it is obviously looking at how we're going to leverage that. And from a Shadow Protect standpoint, you've got your Shadow Protect agents across your physical and virtual workloads, backing up to some NAS storage, and then using Image Manager, which is effectively going to replicate a copy of those backups into the cloud. And with the current version of Image Manager 7.8, which was recently released, this has the ability to now, much like ShadowSafe and Solo, replicate directly into the Google Cloud Storage APIs as well. Traditionally, most of the machines up until now have been using SFTP into our cloud, and then that subsequently gets converted into the Google storage. So this reduces a few number of hops straight into the Google Highway and leveraging that performance into the Google bucket, and it is a seamless technology, which is fantastic. So that's sort of the pieces that come together. In terms of onboarding a customer, if you're already using Shadow Protect or ShadowSafe today, you might be using your Shadow Protect on-prem or the one system. But in our partner zone is where we have the MSP management portal, which has the cloud services component in there. And it's all self-service. So you come in here, you click on Add Cloud Account, you put in the customer's name, and then we need a username and password. So this is a multi-tenant platform. You could actually give that customer the username and password, and using these permissions, you could define which access they will have. But this is where you go up, you set your default retention in our cloud, you create the account, you come in, select the account, and order a C drive as required. So this was one of the first steps, before you send a tech out on site. Do we need to get a C drive sent out to them? We can go and order that from here. And then, then we can start exploring the networking. And typically, if I'm helping a partner through this, we're going to go in, get the replications, get the machines sent across to the cloud. And, if they need further help, I can follow up within the next day, double check that that's all working fine. And then we go through the networking. But this is where we can pre-configure your business continuity and access settings. So digging into this a little bit further, where you have here is the first part is the subnet. What is the subnet you want to use in our cloud? And typically this will be different to your on-prem subnet so that you can route, with IPsec between the two networks. And if you've got an Active Directory environment, you'll see in one of the next steps how we set up DHCP reservations, but what you'll actually want to do is specify your Active Directory DNS server in here so that all of your servers in the cloud are all talking, to the appropriate Active Directory environment. So that's the first step. The second step is going in and requesting public IPs. So you just go and request a public IP. That will allow you to pre-configure IPsec, site-to-site VPN, OpenVPN, and also port forwarding. So once you've got the public IP, you can go in and pre-configure IPsec settings, and I'll give you a link at the end of this to the user guide, and it shows you the phase 1, phase 2 settings that we've pre-configured, and we've got some capability to modify that further as needed. So that's where the VPN configuration's done. You'll then drop down into the private IP addresses, and you can kind of see on the left here, we list all of the machines that have been uploaded to the cloud account, and you can come into the type here and change it from DHCP to a reservation, and that allows you to pre-configure the IP addresses that these servers will boot within our cloud. And based on having a public IP and pre-configuring a reservation, that will then enable you to set up any port forwards. So based on the public IP, the port, the private IP that you've reserved up there, you can then pre-configure the port forwardings. So yeah, that's kind of the pieces. This is a really easy to use front end. If you don't have a lot of experience, it's really easy to configure this. By default, you'll notice that the firewall status it says no router. So the firewall isn't running. This will automatically start as part of the first machine that you virtualize. And while there's machines virtualized, the firewall's running. When the last machine for the account is turned off or destroyed, then the firewall gets powered off again. So that's how it's designed to run. For any partners, and Nathan briefly touched on this, for any partner that would like, we can enable this button for them. And once we enable it, it's there forever, and it'll be available across all of your customers. And that's where we can, you can click this button and we give you access to the pfSense firewall. And really at that point, you can go for your life and do whatever type of advanced configurations you need, which is pretty cool, and it makes it certainly easy. If you make a mess of it, obviously you can click the button and roll it back to our front-end portal, which is nice and easy. Also in the pfSense, you've got the ability to export that config out and save a copy of it as you go through and validate whatever you're needing to do. More recently, as in a couple of months ago, we also introduced a new button to disable the WAN, and this makes it really easy for MSPs that are doing testing. I've seen a lot of partners that they'll virtualize in the cloud and the machine comes online and they're worried about it conflicting with their production server, or their RMM agent starts checking in and duplicating in their environment. So that's a nice easy way to disable it. Alternatively, you've got options to fudge a DNS record so they don't resolve externally, or boot the machines into safe mode and disable stuff. So super flexible around that. The virtual machine policy, Nathan touched on this, allows you to find the boot order and pre-configure for single-click failover. So that's super handy, particularly if you've got a larger number of machines. And this is kind of what it looks like. Your machines get listed down the left. You drag them in. I've sort of dragged this one in first and said sleep delay of 0 seconds. And once that's turned on, these two machines are going to wait 2 minutes and then they'll start booting. So maybe this is a DNS Active Directory domain controller. These start booting a couple of minutes later. And once this one's turned on, then, in this case, my Exchange server might boot up. But basically, I can pre-configure this. I click the launch VM policy, put in the encryption key, and away they start booting. So it really simplifies that process. Obviously, having the cloud pre-configured means all of these are going to boot up and into the appropriate networking and resume the infrastructure for the customer to connect into. And just back here, the last one is the restart network. So the key thing here is any changes you're making in the portal, if the firewall is running, you do need to reboot the network that basically reboots that pfSense firewall. It takes up to 5 minutes, so it's a pretty quick turnaround, but that's just the key if you are going through and testing this, that you do need to, if there's any changes you're subsequently making once your machines are running, it does need a reboot there. So that's the one-click failover. Look, we've got tons of documentation on how to configure IPsec network. The number of partners that have sort of run me in a panic going, oh, Carl, our server's gone down. We don't know how to do an IPsec VPN. So, pointing them here, it's got the phase 1, phase 2 settings. But really, what we don't want you to do is go and waste 2 hours with your firewall vendor on how to do this. So we've got some examples across Cisco, SonicWall, WatchGuard, FortiGate, and if you're not using one of those, you can probably tell from the settings there and the documentation they've got of how to get you up and running. But again, just really encourage you to leverage the ability to pre-configure the stuff and test it. Obviously, setting up Open VPN for users, the virtual machine policy, the disable and enable WAN, and the manually configure pfSense. And that one requires a support case for us to turn that on. You only need to ask once, but again, if you're pre-configuring it, allows us to have that configured for you at the time you might need it. And also there's a link here on best practice recommendations for cloud services. And it is quite a good idea to review that, particularly if you're on the cloud premium and understand, how to get the best out of the product and have the best experience. So yeah, this will be provided as a follow-up to the webinar, and obviously they are links that you can go through there. Now, look, I was hoping to spend a little bit of time taking you through a demo, but just given that we've nearly gone through the whole hour, I'll leave that for another time. Obviously, feel free to reach out to your local Arcserve rep, and they can put you in touch with myself or any of the pre-sales team to guide you through this. But yeah, typically I recommend to partners, look, reach out to pre-sales and let us help you onboard the first customer or two and allow you to get the best guidance and best practice around the deployment and really streamline that for you. And then you'll feel more confident to go and do that and onboard more and more customers from there. So yeah, thanks for coming to the webinar today. I hope you've learned something. One additional slide I've just got in here is on our certification. We have just added a new one for our cloud services engineer. and there's a promotion that's continuing into Q3 where any of our partners that have engineers or sales team get certified. We've got some dollar rewards there per the screen that will be issued at the end of the quarter. So yeah, across Shadow Protect and Shadow Safe and Shadow Protect are obviously are core components to the on-prem and the backup, and then obviously the cloud services and the full DRaaS is obviously a key part there. Nathan also talked about the immutable storage, and obviously OneSafe is a popular option there for customers needing scale-out capacity storage and want that additional immutability on-prem. And yeah, there's a sales professional one there as well, which really just helps give you tips on how to sell this into your customers and obviously what the capabilities are and so forth. So yeah, look, thanks again for your time. If anyone's got any questions, please do go and type them in now. We've got 9 minutes left of the session, so happy to answer anything or show anything as time permits. But yeah, really appreciate your time today, and obviously, hope you can really understand the capability and that you can provide your customers with the solution. Nathan, just while we're waiting on questions, did you have anything you want to add just as a wrap up for today?
Yeah, thanks a lot everyone for joining the call, and we really appreciate that you were able to join us and talk about cloud services today. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, all right, at this minute I don't have any questions, but again I will follow up that there will be an email with a copy to the recording should you want to share with anyone in your team, but also yeah, please do reach out with any questions, and happy to spend some one-on-one time with any of our partners and help them through this. So without further ado, I will wrap up the webinar for today. Thanks again.
Thank you.